some type of a doctrine that said why an NAHREP member was different from another. And for years we've talked about this. And I think that the irony is that in the last 3 or 4 years, everybody's been so busy in the market with changes and with volume and managing your own business, that when we came to these conferences, the good news is that people were going into homes. People were working, so our practitioners were busy, people were getting into home ownership. I think that the Code of Ethics became critical today because the consequences, perhaps, of having been so busy is that a lot of things went under the rug in the industry. I, for one, have always been an advocate that this organization can make a difference in the industry because it's the only organization in real estate that actually allows other participants in the industry to come in and be part of the partners in the membership. So we have escrow, we have title, we have appraisers, lenders, and agents. And our mission is what drove to my heart, and the mission is to empower Hispanic home ownership. And it's social, it's political, and it's also real estate. So those are the things that actually made this organization thrive for me. The Code of Ethics became important because within the last 6 or 7 years we've begun to see the damages, as I was saying earlier, the things that were swept under the rug that nobody was paying attention to. I think when people, or the premise that people are making money in their investments of their homes, makes everybody has a feel good. The adrenalines are up and nobody's paying attention to what the real situations of their loans or their housing situations are. And of course, probably at the beginning of last June is when we started to see the first signs of people being in trouble. And I will tell you that in my own personal experience, it mostly was with investors. Latinos who thought they could become investors. The Latinos that were told they could become investors, that if they pulled money out of their homes, that they could go and buy a second or a third property, but really given no business plan whatsoever. Come last June, their fixed rate on that investment property that they made went up, they run out of their savings to cover the negative, and everything has just blown apart. So the first people, the first symptoms, the first victims, I'll say, that we started to see were the people who actually bought a second or a third home as an investment. And of course, in seeing that, it was easy to tell that there were going to be other consequences coming from people even in their owner occupancy. We tried to prepare some of our borrowers for that adjustment that was coming. What we didn't know was that the investor market that was going to fall quickly would have an impact on the owner occupancy. And so therefore, by the time when we got to try to refinance the properties of those people who were living in their home, it was a little too late because the values had been lost. And by this point, what we're hearing, the credit crunch had, exploded, and the loan products weren't there for them anymore. So it's been like a tidal effect, if you will. In fact, I started calling this a tsunami mortgage last year. And I believe that it's still coming. I think there's a lot of loans out there, a lot of people who are in trouble that the industry still doesn't understand that they're in trouble. And a lot of them are the people who have negative amortization loans who've been making their payment on time because it's the minimum requirement. But at one point or another here, their principal is going to be up so high that they're going to be forced into making a principal and interest, and they will lose the home that they've had 10 or 15 years. So we've had a complexity in the market as to who's in trouble and for why. There's consumer fault. There's consumer fault in the sense too that if they only went in to buy a home to have money in the next couple of years, that was a problem. If they went into a home with zero down and possibly not the best credit, there were consequences that were going to come, and if they didn't prepare, they're going to be suffering those consequences. But we all have to accept fault. The whole industry is a systemic problem that goes from the very top to the very bottom. We believe that the Code of Ethics, what it implies is that it has a code of ethics and principles that's going to be mandated from our members that will help them establish a standard of practice of excellence. That means that you sign up for the Code of Ethics. It says that any consumer who comes to you will get a degree of excellence that they will not find anywhere else. We define this Code of Ethics to get rid of the gray zones. In our industry, particularly in lending, as I am a lender, there are a tremendous amount of gray zones, meaning that you can You can leverage your loan to make you a lot of money, or you can leverage a loan to be the right tool for the borrower. Both of those are legal. So the issue becomes is that if we leave it up to people to make that judgment, and they're in need of money, you know, we all have to make a mortgage payment ourselves. And, you know, if I can make a lot more money out of this loan by doing it this way, where's my code of ethics? And so our being ethical is every day, in every situation where we have to make a decision, where we make the decision for the best and the quality of life for the client, not for mine. So this is critically important. That's why the code of ethics is important. I'm elated that it's happening. It's a strong beginning for what this industry needs, and I know that we'll reshape it along the way, and I think that this organization is capable of actually creating a greater standard of practice, and hopefully that other organizations will step up to the plate and do the same.